Every night, no matter who you are, no matter how ambitious, disciplined, or powerful, your body shuts you down. You cannot negotiate with it. You cannot outwork it forever. You cannot override it indefinitely. Eventually, you must sleep. But why? Why would evolution design a biological system that makes us unconscious for roughly 1/3 of our lives? Sleep makes us vulnerable, immobile, unaware of our surroundings. From a survival perspective, that seems dangerous. And yet, every known animal species studied so far shows sleep-like behavior. So this raises two profound questions. Why are we biologically required to sleep? And why does sleep almost always include dreaming? Today, we'll explore what neuroscience, evolutionary biology, and sleep research actually tell us. No myths, no mystical claims, no exaggerated promises, just what the current evidence supports and what it doesn't. Sleep is not passive shutdown. For a long time, scientists assumed sleep was simply a passive state, a shutdown mode, a period of inactivity. But modern neuroscience shows something very different. During sleep, the brain is not inactive. In some stages, it is intensely active. Electrical activity shifts into structured patterns, memory circuits reactivate, emotional centers light up. Hormones are released in coordinated cycles. Sleep is not turning off, it is switching modes. The brain transitions between different stages: NREM, non-rapid eye movement sleep, and REM, rapid eye movement sleep. Each stage has distinct functions, and both are essential. Why we cannot survive without sleep. One of the strongest pieces of evidence that sleep is biologically mandatory is simple. Sleep deprivation becomes fatal. In animal studies, prolonged total sleep deprivation leads to death. In humans, extreme long-term deprivation causes severe cognitive breakdown, immune dysfunction, metabolic disruption, and eventually systemic collapse. This tells us something critical. Sleep is not optional. It is a core biological requirement. But why? Researchers have identified several major functions. Brain maintenance, the glymphatic system. One major discovery in recent decades involves the glymphatic system. During deep sleep, the brain increases the flow of cerebrospinal fluid through its tissues. This process helps clear metabolic waste products. Among these waste products is beta amyloid, a protein associated with Alzheimer's disease. When we are awake, brain cells are metabolically active and produce waste. During deep sleep, the space between neurons expands slightly, allowing fluid to wash through and remove toxins. In simple terms, sleep appears to be when the brain cleans itself. Without adequate sleep, waste clearance becomes less efficient. This is one reason chronic sleep deprivation is linked to long-term neurological risk. Sleep is maintenance. Energy restoration and metabolic regulation. Sleep also regulates metabolism. During sleep, growth hormone is released. Cells repair damage. Energy stores are restored. Glucose metabolism stabilizes. Chronic sleep deprivation increases risk for obesity, type 2 diabetes, and cardiovascular disease. Hormones like leptin and ghrelin, which regulate hunger, become disrupted when sleep is insufficient. That is why sleep deprivation often increases appetite and cravings. Sleep is deeply tied to metabolic stability. Immune function. Sleep strengthens immune defense. During infection, humans and animals tend to sleep more. This is not accidental. During sleep, immune signaling molecules increase, antibody production improves, inflammatory regulation stabilizes. Chronic sleep loss weakens immune response and increases susceptibility to illness. Sleep is biological defense. Memory consolidation. One of the most well-supported roles of sleep is memory consolidation. During the day, we encode information, but encoding is not the same as stabilizing. During sleep, especially during deep NREM sleep, the hippocampus replays recent experiences. This replay helps transfer memories into long-term storage in the cortex. Studies show that sleep improves declarative memory, facts, knowledge, motor skills, emotional learning. Without sleep, learning becomes fragile. Sleep transforms experience into lasting structure. Emotional regulation. Sleep also regulates emotion. The amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, becomes hyperactive under sleep deprivation. At the same time, the prefrontal cortex, responsible for regulation and rational control, becomes less effective. This creates emotional instability, irritability, impulsivity, heightened anxiety. Sleep restores emotional balance by recalibrating these networks. This is one reason mood disorders are closely linked to sleep disruption. Why do we dream? Now we turn to dreaming. Dreaming occurs primarily during REM sleep, although it can occur in other stages. REM sleep is unique. During REM, the visual cortex is active, emotional centers are active, the motor system is inhibited to prevent acting out dreams, and logical reasoning areas are less active. The brain is generating internal simulations. But why? The leading theories of dreaming. There's no single confirmed purpose of dreaming. However, several evidence-supported theories exist. Emotional processing theory. REM sleep appears to help process emotional memories. During REM, emotional experiences are reactivated, stress-related memory networks engage, and emotional intensity may gradually decrease. This suggests dreams may help integrate emotional experiences into broader memory systems. Dreaming may not erase emotion, but it may help regulate it. Threat simulation theory. This theory proposes that dreams simulate threatening situations so the brain can rehearse responses. Common dream themes include being chased, being attacked, being unprepared, losing control. These simulations may reflect ancient survival rehearsal mechanisms. The brain practices danger in a safe environment. Memory integration theory. Dreams often combine fragments of recent experiences with older memories. This may help integrate new information into existing knowledge structures. Dreams are rarely literal replays, they're recombinations, the brain experimenting with memory networks. Creativity and problem solving. There is evidence that REM sleep enhances associative thinking. Because logical constraints are reduced, the brain may form unusual connections. This can contribute to creative insights. However, dreams are not guaranteed problem solvers. They sometimes generate insight, but often produce random associations. Are dreams necessary? Here's where precision matters. Sleep is clearly necessary for survival. Dreaming, however, is more complex. REM sleep deprivation studies suggest REM is important for emotional regulation. REM contributes to memory integration. REM disruption affects mood stability. However, humans deprived of REM do not immediately die. This suggests dreaming is not as directly life-critical as total sleep, but REM appears important for psychological health. So while we may not say dreams are strictly mandatory for survival in the same immediate sense as deep sleep, they appear important for long-term emotional and cognitive function. Why we feel forced to sleep. Sleep pressure builds throughout the day. A molecule called adenosine accumulates in the brain while we are awake. As adenosine levels rise, we feel sleepy. During sleep, adenosine levels decrease. Caffeine works by blocking adenosine receptors, but it does not remove sleep pressure, it only masks it temporarily. Eventually, the biological need overrides stimulation. That is why we feel forced to sleep. It's chemical, not psychological weakness. What happens if we ignore sleep? Short-term sleep deprivation causes reduced attention, memory lapses, slower reaction time, emotional volatility. Long-term sleep deprivation increases risk for depression, anxiety, metabolic disorders, cardiovascular disease, neurodegenerative risk. The brain cannot indefinitely function without restorative cycles. Sleep is biological debt repayment. What sleep and dreams are not. Sleep is not a waste of time, a passive shutdown, a luxury.